Jerusalem, 1177. The gates are shut, and guards stand watch on the towers. Inside, pilgrims, merchants, knights, priests, and the king's men move through the city. At that time, Jerusalem is one of the most important cities in the region. Just before dawn, 50 modern Delta Force soldiers appear outside the walls. Their mission is clear: infiltrate King Baldwin IV's Jerusalem, capture the king alive, and force him to surrender the city. The team looks at the walls. They cannot approach the city like 50 modern soldiers. Even the way they stand would draw attention, so they will not enter like soldiers, but like travelers. Caravans approach Jerusalem every day. Pilgrim groups, merchants, and supply carriers enter the city. The team sees the opening here. Delta blends into the crowd. The weapons are hidden among the cargo. From the outside, they look like a tired caravan. When they approach the gate, the soldier among them who speaks Arabic talks to the guards. He says this caravan is a group of pilgrims, because in those times, pilgrim caravans were very common, and they came to visit Jerusalem. He gives short answers and does not explain too much. Delta Force enters the city, but honestly, getting inside is not a victory. This is only the first step. The real problem begins now, because first, they have to get into the inner walls where the nobles live, and then into the king's fortress. The streets are very crowded. Pilgrims are praying, merchants are shouting, and soldiers are patrolling. The team splits into small groups so they do not look crowded. Some act like travelers, some hang around the inn, but their real purpose is observation. They learn which streets are quiet, who carries messages, where the road narrows, and how to reach the inner walls. Meanwhile, King Baldwin is near the palace. He knows nothing about what is happening. He is young, sick, and physically weak, but he is not an easy target. Leprosy may be consuming his body, but he is never a king to be underestimated. The plan is divided into 5 parts. The reconnaissance and confirmation team tries to learn Baldwin's location. The alarm disruption team tries to slow down the bells, signals, and messenger flow. The main assault team prepares near the area where the king is located. The perimeter security team controls the narrow streets and return routes. The escape team keeps the extraction route ready in case things go wrong. 2 city guards become suspicious of this foreign caravan. They do not raise the alarm immediately. They only start following them. Delta quickly realizes they are being followed. Seeing the same face again after a few streets is enough. If these 2 guards return, the plan will collapse. The team stops them in a narrow passage where the crowd has thinned. A short and silent struggle takes place. The 2 guards are neutralized. To Delta, it looks like a small problem, but the disappearance of these 2 guards will eventually be noticed. Delta knows this. They cannot waste time anymore. The first target is the inner walls. In the outer city, it is still possible to blend into the crowd, but to get inside, they need a reliable and fast excuse. Here, the soldier who speaks French steps forward. Around the inn, he notices a young noble and his men. He does not mention the palace. He implies that he came from Europe, has seen war in distant lands, and carries important news. He uses modern knowledge like war stories he heard from faraway countries. The noble becomes interested, because at that time, new information meant new connections. This is what Delta needs, not to force the gate open, but to hide behind someone who has the right to pass through it. A few Delta soldiers act like servants and carriers. The cargo is with them, and the equipment is still hidden. At the inner wall gate, the guards stop them, but the noble is in a hurry. A major part of Delta gets inside the inner walls. Once they are inside, the game changes. The target is closer, but the margin for error is lower. Here, foreign faces are noticed quickly, patrols are regular, and gates are controlled. The team gathers briefly at a secure point. The hidden weapons are taken out. The traveler role ends here now. The teams left outside work at the same time. The goal is not to start a major battle, but only to create delays. A messenger is redirected elsewhere. A small disturbance is created at one gate. Some guards are forced to look in the wrong direction. The reconnaissance team confirms the route leading to the fortress. Baldwin still knows nothing about what is happening. The final plan is quickly set. The main assault team will approach the fortress. The soldiers on overwatch will monitor the patrols. The perimeter security team will hold the return route. The escape team will keep the exit line ready. The movement begins. Delta advances carefully inside the inner walls. Some guards are passed without being noticed. Some are pulled in another direction with short distractions. As the team gets closer to the fortress, the sound of the streets fades. The stone walls rise higher, and the number of guards increases. There is a problem at the final checkpoint. A fortress guard notices that there are too many foreigners with the noble. He asks questions. The soldier who speaks French talks again, but this time the guard is not convinced. He wants to turn back and call someone else. Delta cannot wait. With a short and silent move, the way is opened. From this moment on, there is no turning back. The main team enters the fortress. At the same time, the outside teams create small disturbances. One patrol is delayed, one messenger is stopped, and at one gate, the guards go in the wrong direction. The goal is the same. Keep the path to Baldwin open for a few minutes. Delta moves fast, but they cannot stay hidden. As soon as they enter the fortress, a guard notices them and shouts. When the team sees the guard, they immediately take him down with suppressed weapons. But even so, the guard's voice reaches the sentries. A sentry immediately goes to ring the emergency bell, but this bell had already been sabotaged by the Delta team earlier. Then he goes to the emergency signal flares, but they are not in place either. And right at that moment, a sniper from a distance finishes the sentry off. The team has entered the fortress and no one knows. But this silence will not last long. Delta speeds up. Now the goal is not to remain invisible, but to reach Baldwin's room before everyone else. Inside, servants are running around. No one fully understands what is happening. The main team does not stop. The corridors are narrow, the doors are heavy, and every corner is a new risk. Short sentences come through the radios. Route clear, we are close to the target. King Baldwin still does not realize what is happening. His men approach the door, and muffled sounds come from outside. He raises his head and asks what is happening. Before an answer comes, gunshots are heard outside the door. The palace suddenly switches into emergency defense. All the guards move to protect their king, but it is too late. The team immediately takes down every warrior they can see. At the end of a corridor, armored guards appear. They have swords and spears in their hands. They do not understand what is happening, but it is clear that the men in front of them are enemies. The Delta team does not stop. They fire, but at that moment, the guards throw their spears. One spear hits a team member in the leg. His teammate immediately treats the wound, but they have to hurry because they could not bring much equipment and ammunition while entering the inner fortress without being noticed. That is why they need to be much more careful. When they go upstairs, the area where Baldwin is located is now very close. Panic can be heard behind the doors. There is one final hall before entering the throne room. The team notices the sound of the guard's armor in the hall. The team cannot afford to be wounded again. There is a chance of arrows being fired and spears being thrown. The team leader explains his plan. Before entering the hall, flashbangs are thrown, and after they enter, the guards are neutralized with crossfire. Finally, the corridor opens. There are a few seconds of silence in front of the door. Everyone breathes. Then the door opens inward. King Baldwin IV is in the room. He looks young, pale, and sick. The last remaining guards around him raise their weapons. Baldwin studies the men standing before him. He does not recognize these weapons. He does not recognize these clothes. The Delta leader gives a short signal. The team enters the room. The last guards make their move, but it is useless. A single soldier neutralizes the guards with his pistol. Baldwin is now in Delta's hands. Delta Force has successfully completed another mission. But this does not feel like a victory, because when morning comes, new news arrives from the walls. Saladin is approaching Jerusalem with an army of 20,000 men. The Delta team looks at each other. A few hours ago, capturing the king was a victory. Now, that same king may be the only person they need to hold the city. Someone mutters into the radio, "We completed the mission, but what do we do now?" And as Baldwin looks at the soldiers holding his wrists, he whispers with a faint but clear smile, "I think you need me." If you enjoyed this scenario, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. See you in the next video.